My father let out a frustrated sigh. Arden, you've been inspecting packs for a year now. Every promising lead has come to nothing. The prophecy hangs heavy over us all. We can't afford to be picky. His words cut deep. 1 year. That's all I had left before the curse took hold, before my power waned. I understand, father, I replied, my voice a low rumble. The burden of the prophecy was mine to bear alone. Discussing the details, the possibility of failure, felt like inviting defeat. First thing in the next morning, I took a drive to Alpha Derek's pack. As I arrived, the welcoming party of Derek's pack gathered before my car. Derek himself stood at the forefront, a broad grin plastered on his face. His eyes, however, held something akin to nervousness, a stark contrast to the usual arrogance I'd come to expect that I stepped out of my car. King Arden, Derek boomed, extending a hand in greeting. We are honored by your presence. Please come in, make yourself comfortable. I clasped his hand. Alpha Derek, I responded, my voice polite but firm. Thank you for your hospitality. I trust your preparations are complete for the inspection. Everything is in order, Your Majesty, Derek assured me, his smile disappearing for a second. May I introduce you to some of our pack members? He gestured towards a group of wolves standing behind him. Their faces were mixed with curiosity and trepidation. I nodded, engaging in polite conversation, all the while searching for a specific face. But when I noticed the girl, the one who held the title of Derek's mate, was absent, I asked. Derek, I notice your mate isn't present. Is she indisposed? Derek's smile vanished completely, replaced by a grimace. He hesitated for a moment, his eyes darting around as if seeking an escape route. I don't know where she is, he said. My suspicions flared. Derek wasn't a good liar. The nervous glances exchanged among the pack members only fueled my unease. That a mate was a vital part of an alpha's power structure. Her absence, especially if unexplained, spoke volumes. Derek, I continued, my voice low and firm, the absence of your mate during an official inspection is unusual to say the least. Would you care to elaborate? Derek opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. He seemed trapped. Perhaps, I said, leaning closer, I can be of assistance. Is there something troubling you regarding your mate's absence? If there's been an incident, a threat, I want to assure you that the resources of the Lycan King are at your disposal. Hope shone in Derek's eyes. He hesitated once more, then leaned in. It's Serena, my mate. My beta told me she doesn't want to be disturbed. Let's find her then, I said. Serena's pova throbbing ache in my neck yanked me awake. I blinked open my eyes, the unfamiliar room coming into focus. Where was I? I looked around the room before looking down at my body, that I began to panic as I realized I was lying naked in a bed that wasn't mine. What the fuck? Glancing beside me, I found a muscular werewolf still asleep. Taking a deeper look, I realized it was Joshua, a young member from Derek's pack, who I had seen a few times before. My blood ran cold. If anyone came in, I would a walking corpse. But I don't remember how I ended up here. Had Derek? No, that couldn't be right. Joshua, I croaked. My voice was hoarse. He bolted upright as if stung, and his eyes widened with terror. Serena, what happened? I narrowed my gaze, my brows were furrowed. I don't know, you tell me, I yelled. But before he could offer any further explanation, the door to the room slammed open. Leading the surge was Derek, his face was masked with fake fury. Close behind him stood the Lycan King. Following them were Cora and several other pack members. The sight of them, especially the king's presence, sent shivers down my spine. What is the meaning of this? I stammered, desperately trying to pull the flimsy sheet over my bare body. Derek didn't waste a moment. With a theatrical gasp, he stumbled forward, clutching his side as if he was in pain. You treacherous bitch. You ask not to be disturbed only to find you in bed with another man that isn't me. He roared. He turned to the Lycan King. Your Majesty, I present to you the evidence of my mate's treachery. After years of devoted service, she has chosen to betray me with another. My jaw dropped. Treachery? Mate? The audacity of it all made me want to scream. Since when did Derek care about me? Since when did he ever consciously refer to me as his mate? My eyes darted to the Lycan King, desperately searching for a shred of disbelief. I wanted him to see me for my innocence, but his expression remained stoic. Cora, however, stepped forward to add more fuel to the already blazing fire. "It's no surprise, Your Majesty," she purred. "Serena has always been troubled. In fact, she carries a terrible curse. Alpha Derek, in his infinite kindness, chose to claim her. But it seems her true nature has prevailed." The room began to spin. Curse. Claimed. The lies twisted my head. I tried to speak, to defend myself, but the words wouldn't come. My voice was lost in their lies. "Derek, I began, my voice trembling. But he cut me off with a snarl. "Silence." He grabbed me by the arm, his grip tight enough to leave bruises. "Explain yourself to the king." I jerked my arm away. I was furious. "Explain what? I don't even know what's going on." These weren't trials or accusations. It was a play, a carefully crafted narrative designed to destroy me. Desperate for any shred of support, I looked at Joshua, who sat frozen on the other side of the bed, his face covered with fear and guilt that I was alone, a pawn in a game. And the odds were stacked impossibly high against me. The Lycan King stepped forward. "Calm yourselves, Alpha Derek. Let the woman speak." He turned to me. "Serena, what is your story?" Arden's POV tears welled up in Serena's eyes as I watched her explain. I don't know how I got here. I woke up like this, with him beside me." She gestured towards Joshua. "She lies," Cora yelled. Just then, a strange fragrance filled the air, subtle yet undeniably pleasant. It clung to the sheets. The sweet scent came from Serena. Could it be? Could Serena, the Omega, be my destined mate? I quickly dismissed the ridiculous notion. Besides, Serena's behavior showed no hint of recognition, and I had no desire to have an Omega as a mate. "Your Majesty," Derek said, "I am at a loss. It appears Serena is not fit to be my mate anymore. Please, I'm asking you to grant me permission to reject her as my mate." "Hold on, Alpha Derek," I interjected. "Rejection is a serious matter. It cannot be based on mere accusations." I reminded Derek that a partner's betrayal, while it stings like a broken rib, because I know how scarce partners are, I wanted Derek to be cautious. "But the evidence is clear," Cora immediately screamed. Serena, however, remained silent. Finally, after a moment of agonizing silence, she spoke, her voice surprisingly steady. "I accept Alpha Derek's rejection." Hearing those words from Serena, my head snapped in her direction. She didn't look like she cared about whatever babbling Derek was doing in the background. She looked up to stare at me, and I felt all the air in my lungs get knocked out. Something in Serena's eyes was pulling me in, and I couldn't break the gaze away. Different emotions bubbled inside me. First, it was the strange sweet smell, and now it's this enchanting stare that seems to captivate me. It was like she was the only person in the room that I was stunned. I had expected outrage, especially since she was insisting she was innocent before. Instead, there were no pleas, nor desperate denials. Just a quiet acceptance. Her actions are a clear betrayal, a threat to the safety of my people. Derek added, interrupting our staring contest. I used that moment to break the eye contact and pretended like I didn't feel a shift in the energy. "So be it," she stated, her voice firm despite the tears threatening to fall in her eyes. "If this pack holds no place for me, then I will find my place elsewhere." And then it happened. The moment the rejection was complete, I felt something different in the room. A bond forming with a speed that defied logic. The connection slammed into me, a pull that anchored me to the woman standing before me, her eyes now wide with shock. The change in her expression was insane. The pain and anger that had simmered moments ago was replaced by a confusing realization. What's happening?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I stared at her, disbelief warring within me. Lost in my thoughts, I asked myself, could it be? Could this Omega truly be my mate? Surely, the prophecy couldn't be so cruel, so illogical. "Well then, she has accepted the rejection," Derek said. "Take her away. She'll find her place in the dungeon." Before I could formulate a response, Derek's beta, with a sneer plastered on his face, lunged toward Serena. "This traitor deserves punishment." With that said, the beta's whip was about to land on Serena's face. Before I could even consider the consequences, I reacted. With a speed that surprised even myself, I lunged forward, Grabbing Derek's beta by his arm and effortlessly throwing him across the room, he slammed into the wall with a heavy thud, coughing from the painful impact. Everyone fell silent. Serena's eyes widened in shock, her mouth agape with surprise. Derek and Cora stared at me, wearing a disbelief look on their faces. "No one," I yelled, "touches her." Arden's POV. Derek did not fail to hide the confusion on his face. Why would the Lycan King, the most powerful shifter alive, intervene on Amir Omega's behalf? I ignored the stunned faces around me, focusing solely on the face sitting upright on the bed.